Hey y'all, it's Jessica from Selfies Swatches. Today I have a look at the 5 Boroughs collection that's available right now from Glisten and Glow. These were sent to me for review, and I'll link her social media and storefront down below. This is a collection of 5 leaning neutral holographic polishes, and I'll just get right into it. Today, all of my swatches will be topped with HK Girl by Glisten and Glow. This has been a long time favorite top coat for me, so I just want to mention that really quickly. So first up is Selfies in Staten Island, and this is described as a nude linear holographic polish that's loaded with copper, bronze, and gold shimmers, as well as a light dusting of silver hollow micro glitters. So there's a ton of different metal elements going on in this polish. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Selfies in Staten Island swatched on my natural nail. Here's a look at that first coat. I did opt to go in for thinner coats with these because the coverage is so amazing. These are really easy to work with. They're not gritty at all or anything like that. Glisten and Glow does have the thinner brush for more precise application. So there's a look at that first coat. I got no brush stroking, no problems at all. I'll let that dry and show you how it builds up with a second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. This brings this one completely opaque. With all of these polishes, I feel like if you go in for a nice thick coat, you will be able to get these to full coverage really quickly. I'm going to show you 2 coats for all of them today though. So here's a look at that completed mini before top coat. So these do dry down a little bit dull and just with a tiny slight texture. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with that HK Girl top coat. It definitely makes it smooth out and brings it that super wet shiny finish. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is Brunch in Brooklyn, and this is described as a light pink linear holographic polish with a light pink hollow micro glitter and a dusting of both blue and gold shimmers. This one does seem to have a little bit of lilac influences in there as well. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Brunch in Brooklyn swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, these are pretty much the same across the board. This first coat goes on nice and easy. I am going in for thinner coats with these. That's just personal preference. These do dry down fairly quickly, so you could go in thicker if you'd like to. So one coat makes for pretty awesome coverage, but I do still have a little bit of nail line, so I'll show you how it builds up with a second coat. So here's a look at that. I did go in and kind of clean up against those sidewalls and against the cuticle area, and this definitely brings this one completely opaque. I love, love, love these scatter holographic glitters on top of the linear holographic. It makes for a gorgeous finish, and this just might be my favorite of the collection. So here's a look at that completed mini before top coat. So again, a little bit dull and maybe with a tiny bit of texture. Good top coat smooths that right out. So here's a view in a different angle underneath artificial lighting with a top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So next up is Beatboxing in the Bronx, and this is described as an olive green linear holographic polish with added pink and blue shimmers and a dusting of gold flakies and gold hollow micro glitter. So this does have a very beautiful gold, almost metallic shimmer. I'll show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Beatboxing in the Bronx swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, this one just goes on really smooth. It is a little bit darker of a shade, so I feel like I had more opaque coverage in one coat. I did still have a flash of nail line here though, so I'll go ahead and let this dry and then show you how it builds up with that second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. This one does try to dry down a little bit darker than it applies, which makes for even better coverage. The second coat for sure brings this one completely opaque. No problems, no issues, no running or pulling. It's not too thick or too thin. It just goes right where you put it, especially if you're working with thinner coats. So here's a look at that completed mini before top coat. So again, just maybe a tiny bit dull, not noticeable at all, but a good top coat is definitely going to bring out all of that shimmer and holographic polish. So here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then finally at an angle again in that direct sunlight. Next up is Quick Step in Queens, and this is described as a medium gray cream based linear holographic polish that's loaded with blue shimmers and a very light dusting of gold flakies. So in the bottle, those blue shimmers are pretty evident. On the nail though, it's definitely more of a gorgeous gray. I'll go ahead and show you a brush shot, and I'll show you how Quick Step in Queens swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, this one is a darker shade and it's definitely more of a cream formula, so this one covers amazing. I did go in for a nice thicker coat here, but this one was completely opaque in just one easy coat. I am going to go ahead and let it dry down and show you how it builds up with a second coat, but you can definitely stop here and then you get all of that amazing finish with that holographic glitter and absolute full coverage. So here's a look at that second coat. I just did it just in case. I wanted to make sure, that it didn't build up darker or anything like that. It definitely doesn't. It did help me get closer to my sidewalls and my cuticles for sure. But again, I think you could totally stop at just one coat with this polish. So here's a look at that completed mani. I had two coats underneath my artificial lighting. This one actually dried down a little bit glossier for me as well. I do definitely recommend a nice glossy top coat though to protect the finish and also help bring out all that holographic glitter. So here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with that top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then finally at an angle again in that direct sunlight. So lastly today I have Mamies in Manhattan, and this is described as a dusty purple based mauve toned linear holographic polish with a strong copper shimmer and a dusting of red and silver hollow micro glitters. So this is another really beautiful mix. It does have those gorgeous scattered holographic on top of the linear holographic. Here's a quick look at that brush shot, and I'll show you how Mamies in Manhattan swatched on my natural nail. So here's a look at that first coat. Again, this goes on super smooth, really easy to work with. I did still have a little bit of nail line here though, but I did go in for a nice thin coat. So I'll let this dry and then show you how it builds up with that second coat. So here's a look at that second coat. It does deepen this color up a bit and adds even more of that gorgeous holographic and metallic shimmer. I feel like this is a very wearable hollow. Like you could almost get away with this for work appropriate attire. It is a little bit more toned down, but still gorgeously shiny, especially in direct sunlight. So here's a look at that completed mani. Add two coats before top coat. So again, same thing going on here, maybe a little bit of dullness and a little bit of texture. Here's a view from another angle in direct sunlight with a top coat. This is my swatch photo underneath artificial lighting, and then once more at an angle in that direct sunlight. So that does wrap up my swatch and review of the 5 Boroughs collection. Again, these are available right now. The entire collection will retail at $57, or you can buy them individually for $57. I will link Glisten and Glow's storefront and social media down below. If you'd like to see more photos, I do have those available on my blog at sloppyswatches.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at sloppyswatches. So thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time.